Study section 9. Revolutionary vision. The example of Femi Oshofisan. Introduction. African playwrights to date belong to the petty bourgeois class of teachers, civil servants. The recent emergence of radical leftist playwrights like Ngugi, Uzain, Femi Oshofisan, and Bode Sowande is partly evidence of committed African playwrights. Objective. At the end of this lecture, you should be able to identify the faces in modern African drama and distinguish between the works of Oshofisan and Wole Soyinka on ideological grounds. Content. Femi Oshofisan was born 16 June 1946. He studied in both Nigeria and Europe. Importantly, African dramatists belong to the petty bourgeois class of teachers. The emergence of radical leftist playwrights like Uzain, Ngugi, Bode Sowande, and Femi Oshofisan is partly evidence in greater ideological clarity within the rank of committed African playwrights, this necessitating a deeper theoretical insight into the relationship between drama and revolution in contemporary African setting. This need is made more urgent by the magnanimity and optimism with which revolution as this has been orchestrated by these playwrights. In examining Oshofisan's work, Once Upon Four Robbers, 1980, he took the dramatic parallel between crooks and politicians a step further. The play explores the premise that since corruption is so endemic to Nigeria, the armed robbers also endemic to post-independence Nigerian. Life under the Gowon regime are paradoxically the most honest men in the society, since their robbery is at least performed in the open, free from hypocrisy. At the end of the play, the audience is invited to choose between the robbers and the soldier who have joined the government as part of its law and order campaign to protect the property of the newly rich. The play is an attempt to propose a dramatic interpretation of the violent robbery which resulted in Nigeria since the end of the Civil War in 1970. It is also an attempt to counter and challenge the government's position, which is the frivolous perspectives of the ruling class. The aesthetic premise that informed the recreation in Once Upon Four Robbers are that armed robbers are products of a system rooted in imbalances, that the violence with which the state confronts the menace cannot beget multiple violence on the part of the robbers. The cure to robbery lies in revolution. In Moro Ntodun, 1982, Oshofisan delves into myth and history for the exploration of revolutionary transformation in contemporary Nigerian society. This inspiration comes from the legendary heroism of Moremi of Ile-Ife, a woman who single-handedly delivers her people from Igbo usurpers. The historical basis for the play derives from the Agbekoya peasants upheaval of 1969, whilst the Nigerian civil strife was still looming. Moro Ntodun can be understood as a twist and an aesthetic reconstruction of both history and myth in the service of contemporary reality with specific reference to socio-political transformation. In the essay contemporary, contradiction, and the revolutionary alternative. JE4 explains that why myth functions to ratify the experience with a national setting. The history of the Agbekoya revolts provides an ideological framework for the realization of the plot. Thus, conflict is at the center of the play, but this conflict is not presented in the form of a simple division between the rich and the poor, but in more creative terms. T2B, the heroine, though brought up in the comfort of a well-to-do, represented by her mother Alaja, is a seasoned by experience into rejections of the values of her social stratum, by her intimacy with the experiences of the countryside, wretched of the earth. JE4 explains further, in committing class suicide, she also comes to a re-evaluation of the myth that sustains the values of the ruling class, 1985. Importantly, the aspect of the Moremi myth on which her heroic deed is based becomes a fundamental reformation of the ancient myth, which is here shown of its feudalistic and aristocratic orientation, and assumes a more progressive outlook. T2B declares at a moment of realization, I had to kill the ghost of Moremi in my belly. I am not Moremi. Moremi served the state, was the spirit of the ruling class, but it is not true that the state is always right. 1982, page 28. Here lies Oshofison's representation or recreation of history to suit its textual ideology, which avowed commitment to the revolutionary option in Nigerians' quest for a just and egalitarian society. Certainly, Oshofison had been the most consistently radical of the new playwrights, using his plays to speak uncompromisingly for a Marxist revolution of Nigeria's problem along class lines by inviting direct popular struggle. In this respect too, it shows a clear depth to the Brechtian tradition of politically engaged theatre. Oshofison's work throughout his career has emphasized the social responsibilities of the playwright. He has sought in a number of ways to make the theatre reflect the problems of Nigerian society and to make his plays a platform for exploring these social issues. According to Garrett Griffiths, this dramaturgy has been designed to emphasize open, rather closed dramatic structures. 2002, 619. These open structures invite active analysis rather than simply offering fixed and definite answers. They have included audience participation and choice in addressing the issues raised by the action. Summary. In this lecture, we have examined the text and texture of Femi Oshofison's revolutionary vision as distinct from the earlier generation of Soyinka and Clark that came before him, using his plays to speak for the Marxist revolution of Nigerians' problem along class lines by inviting direct popular struggle. End of study section 9. Thanks for listening.